My girlfriend said, "If you take that promotion and leave 4 months, I won't stay faithful." I simply replied, "All right," finally understood everything. Days later, she accused me of choosing money over love, not knowing what I'd already found. So I finally learned the difference between someone who supports your dreams and someone who just enjoys the benefits of your success. And honestly, it took hearing something so shocking that I'm still processing it 3 days later. I'm Ryland, 32, work as a senior petroleum engineer here in Houston. Been with my company for 8 years. Worked my way up from field operations to consulting on offshore drilling projects. It's demanding work. Typically, I'm gone about 4 weeks out of every 8, but the money's solid and I'm good at what I do. For the past 2 years, I've been dating Ophelia, who's 26. She works part-time at a boutique in the Galleria and takes business classes online. Lives in my apartment, contributes maybe 20% to household expenses, which has been fine because I make good money and she's been building toward her degree. Last week, my company offered me a position I've been working toward for years. International project management based out of Houston, but with longer rotations. 4 months offshore, 2 months home. The salary jump is massive, from $250K to $640K base, plus bonuses that could push it over $700K. This isn't just a raise. This is set for life money. Buy a house cash money. Retire by 50 money. I was excited when I got the call, thinking Ophelia would be thrilled about our future getting this kind of financial boost. Instead, when I told her about the opportunity, her reaction was immediate and cold. 4 months? Are you serious? I'd be alone for 4 months at a time? I tried to explain that it was only for a few years to establish myself in the position, that the money would set us up incredibly well, that the 2-month home periods would be completely free time together. Ryland, I have needs. I can't be alone for 4 months. That's not realistic. I suggested she could visit me at the international base during my rotations, that we could travel together during my home time with the increased income. I thought we were problem-solving together. That's when she said something I'm still trying to wrap my head around. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. If you're gone for 4 months at a time, I'm going to need human company. I can't promise I'll be faithful under those circumstances. I stared at her, thinking I'd misheard. What do you mean by human company? I mean, I'm 26 years old. I have physical and emotional needs. 4 months is too long to expect someone to just wait around. I thought maybe she was talking about getting a pet or something, but her expression made it clear we were talking about something else entirely. Are you telling me you'd cheat on me if I take this job? I'm telling you I'm being realistic about what I can handle. If you choose to be gone for 4 months, you're choosing to put me in an impossible situation. The conversation that followed was surreal. She wasn't apologizing for essentially threatening infidelity. She was framing it as honesty about her limitations. Like I should be grateful she was warning me instead of just doing it. So my options are turn down a career opportunity that would set us up for life, or accept that you'll sleep with other people. I'm not saying I want to. I'm saying 4 months is unrealistic and you need to consider what you're asking of me. That's when something clicked for me. This wasn't about the time apart being difficult. This was about her priorities. She was literally telling me that her comfort for 4 months mattered more than our financial future, our relationship, or my career. I told her I understood completely. Then I told her she had 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live. What? Ryland? I was being honest with you. I was communicating instead of just doing something behind your back. And I appreciate the honesty. It helped me understand exactly who I'm dating. She's been alternating between tears and anger for 3 days, saying I'm overreacting, that most couples would find a compromise, that I'm choosing money over love. Her sister thinks I'm being cruel and unrealistic about relationship expectations. But here's what I keep coming back to. She didn't say the separation would be hard. She didn't ask if we could work out solutions together. She told me straight up that she'd cheat on me if I took a job that would improve both our lives dramatically. That's not someone who sees us as a team. That's someone who sees me as a service provider who should prioritize her immediate comfort over our long-term future. Aita for ending a 2-year relationship because my girlfriend said she'd cheat if I took a promotion? Edit. For those asking about the current schedule, I'm already gone 1 month out of every 2 for my current position. This would change it to 4 months gone, 2 months completely home. Edit 2. When I said I understood completely, I meant I understood her character, not that I was agreeing to accept her cheating. Should have been clearer about that. Update 1 week since I broke up with Ophelia for threatening to cheat if I took the promotion, and apparently I'm getting a masterclass in how the same conversation can be interpreted completely differently depending on who benefits from which version. According to our mutual friends and her family, I'm a cold, money-obsessed workaholic who abandoned his girlfriend over a misunderstanding about relationship needs. She's been posting on social media about how hard it is when your partner chooses career advancement over building a life together. The story she's telling is that she was being vulnerable about her fears of long distance, that she was trying to have an honest conversation about the challenges we'd face, and that I immediately dumped her instead of working through solutions like a committed partner would. Which is fascinating, because that's not the conversation I remember having. My work buddy Maddox came over this weekend to help me start packing up her stuff. He's married, been through the offshore rotation lifestyle with his wife for 6 years. Dude, he said while boxing up her clothes, my wife cried for a week when I got offered the 4-month rotations. She was scared. She was upset about the separation. We had some tough conversations about logistics and loneliness. But you know what she never said? That she'd fuck other guys if I took the job. That put it in perspective. Of course, long separations are hard. Of course, there are legitimate concerns about maintaining connection and intimacy across months apart. But threatening infidelity isn't addressing those concerns. It's using them as leverage. My brother Kieran, who went through a messy divorce 2 years ago, had a different take. She told you exactly who she is. Believe her. A woman who threatens to cheat because you're working to build your future together was never your partner. She was your dependent. The reactions from people have been interesting. The guys I work with, especially the ones in similar high-demand careers, all think I dodged a bullet. They've seen relationships implode when partners can't handle the sacrifice required for major career advancement. But some of our younger mutual friends think I was too harsh, that I could have found middle ground, that relationships require compromise and I wasn't willing to negotiate. The thing is, I wasn't opposed to negotiating. I suggested visits, video calls, using the increased income for travel together during home periods. I was ready to work through the practical challenges of long distance. What I wasn't willing to negotiate was fidelity. That's not a compromise topic. Ophelia called yesterday, crying, asking if we could talk, said she'd been emotional and scared when she said what she said, that she didn't mean it the way it sounded. How did you mean it? I asked. I meant that 4 months apart would be really hard for me emotionally. I was trying to tell you I'd struggle with loneliness. By saying you'd need human company and couldn't promise to be faithful. Long pause. I was trying to be honest about my fears instead of just agreeing to something I wasn't sure I could handle. But here's what hit me about that conversation. She still wasn't apologizing for threatening to cheat. She was clarifying her justification for threatening to cheat. Even in her version where she was just expressing fears, the solution she proposed wasn't working together to manage separation. It was me turning down the opportunity to avoid putting her in a difficult position. I told her I appreciated the clarification, but that we fundamentally disagreed about how partnerships work. That I needed to be with someone who saw my career success as our success, not as a threat to their comfort. She accused me of being inflexible and materialistic, said I was throwing away 2 years together over a job, but it wasn't about the job. It was about learning that the person I thought was my partner was actually someone who saw my success as her entitlement, my sacrifices as her due, and my career as something that should conform to her timeline and comfort level. Edit. Several people asking if I'm taking the promotion. Yes, absolutely. Start date is next month. Update 2. 3 weeks since I ended things with Ophelia, and I just found out something that explains everything about her casual attitude toward threatening infidelity. Turns out, she wasn't hypothetically considering other options. She was actively maintaining them. This came to light through my friend Jake, who works downtown and runs into her friend group regularly. He'd been defending me against some of the Ryland's a heartless workaholic narrative that's been making the rounds, but apparently that changed when he overheard some conversations that made him uncomfortable. Dude, he told me over beers yesterday, I need to tell you something about Ophelia that's been bugging me for weeks. Apparently, she'd been telling her friends for months before our breakup that I was never around anyway, and that she was getting tired of dating someone who prioritizes work over relationships. But more than just complaining, she'd been actively keeping her options open. Jake had screenshots from a mutual friend who'd seen her profiles on dating apps, conversations where she talked about exploring what else is out there while I was offshore. Not necessarily cheating, but definitely shopping around and building connections with other guys. The part that really got me was reading her messages to friends about how she deserved someone who could actually be present, and how she was too young to waste time waiting around for someone who's always gone. This was during the same period when I thought we were building toward a future together, when I was working those offshore rotations specifically to save money for our shared goals. But the smoking gun was a conversation from 2 weeks before I got the promotion offer. She'd told her friends, "If Rylan takes that international position they've been talking about, I'm done. I can't do 4 months apart. There are other guys who would prioritize me. Other guys who would prioritize me." Like my career advancement was a personal slight against her rather than an opportunity for our future. Jake showed me this stuff because he felt bad about not speaking up earlier. I thought maybe she was just venting about relationship frustrations. I didn't realize she was actively planning your replacement. That reframed everything about our breakup conversation. When she threatened to seek human company if I took the promotion, she wasn't expressing a fear or making a desperate plea. She was delivering an ultimatum based on plans she'd already been making. She wasn't worried about being faithful during long separations. She'd already decided she wasn't going to be faithful, and my promotion was just her excuse to make it my fault. I called my mom, who's been married to my dad for 34 years through his career as an offshore welder. "Son," she said after I explained the situation, "that girl wasn't your partner. She was auditioning you for the role of boyfriend while keeping other auditions going. The right woman doesn't threaten to replace you. She figures out how to support what you're building together." She was right. While I was thinking about engagement rings and long-term financial planning, Ophelia was thinking about exit strategies and backup options. I just happened to find out about it before making any irreversible commitments. The weirdest part is how relieved I feel. For 3 weeks, I'd been second-guessing whether I'd overreacted to her threat, wondering if I'd thrown away something real over a moment of poor communication. Now I know it wasn't poor communication. It was perfect communication. She told me exactly who she was and what she valued. I just finally listened. I'm taking the promotion. Start training for the international position next month. And for the first time in months, I'm excited about the future instead of constantly managing someone else's resentment about the sacrifices required to build it. Edit. For those asking how I'm handling the betrayal emotionally, honestly, I'm more relieved than angry. Better to learn someone's true character before marriage than after. Edit 2. Yes, I've blocked her on everything. No point in maintaining contact with someone who was actively planning to replace me while accepting my support. Final update. 6 months since my ex-girlfriend threatened to cheat if I took a promotion, and I wanted to close this chapter because writing it out helped me process what turned out to be one of the most clarifying experiences of my adult life. The short version: I took the job, moved to the international rotation schedule, and learned the difference between someone who supports your success and someone who just enjoys spending your money. The career side has been incredible. The work is challenging, the team is solid, and the financial reality of earning $640K is everything I hoped it would be. I bought a house cash. Nothing ostentatious, just a solid 3-bedroom in a good neighborhood that's completely mine. The personal side was more interesting to navigate. For the first couple months, I kept second-guessing whether I'd been too harsh with Ophelia, whether I could have handled the situation with more patience or understanding. That ended when I heard through mutual friends that she'd started dating someone new exactly 3 weeks after our breakup. A guy she'd met at her gym who works in sales, makes decent money, but is around every evening and weekend. 3 weeks. After a 2-year relationship that she'd claimed to be devastated about losing. My brother Kieran put it perfectly. "Dude, she replaced you faster than most people replace a broken appliance. That tells you everything you need to know about how invested she actually was." He was right. If she'd been genuinely heartbroken about our relationship ending, if she'd really been trying to communicate fears about separation instead of delivering ultimatums, she wouldn't have been able to move on that quickly. The timeline proved that she hadn't been fighting for us. She'd been shopping for my replacement while keeping me as a backup plan. But here's what I learned about myself through all this. I'd been dating someone who wanted my lifestyle, not me as a person. She loved what my income provided, what my apartment looked like, what my career status meant for her social standing. But she didn't love the work that made those things possible. When my career demanded more sacrifice for bigger rewards, she couldn't see past the inconvenience to her immediate comfort. That's not partnership, that's parasitism. The rotation schedule has actually been perfect for figuring out what I want in relationships. 4 months of focused work followed by 2 months of complete freedom means I'm not trying to squeeze dating around demanding professional obligations. I've been seeing someone for the past 2 months, Mara, who's a nurse at Texas Medical. She works 12-hour shifts, understands demanding careers, and when I told her about the offshore schedule, her response was, "That sounds like a great opportunity. How can I support you through the transition?" Not, "What about my needs?" or, "I can't promise to be faithful," or, "Other guys would prioritize me differently." Just immediate thought about how to make it work together. The difference in energy is remarkable. When someone chooses you because they want to build something with you rather than because you're convenient while they figure out better options, everything feels different. I saw Ophelia at a mutual friend's wedding last month. She was there with the new boyfriend, looked happy enough, barely acknowledged me beyond a polite nod, which was perfect. No drama, no lingering tension, just two people who'd learned they weren't compatible and moved on. After the reception, the friend who'd invited both of us pulled me aside. "I owe you an apology," she said. "When you broke up with Ophelia, I thought you were being unnecessarily harsh, but watching how quickly she moved on, how little she seemed affected, I think you read the situation correctly." That validation felt good, but honestly, I didn't need it anymore. The months of offshore work had given me clarity about what I actually value in relationships: loyalty, shared vision for the future, willingness to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term goals. Someone who sees your success as their success instead of their inconvenience. The money's been life-changing, but not in the ways I expected. It's not about buying expensive things or flexing wealth. It's about security, options, the peace of mind that comes with knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you. Most importantly, it's taught me that the right person won't make you choose between loving them and building the future you want. They'll be excited to build that future with you, even when it requires temporary sacrifices. Looking back, Ophelia did me the biggest favor possible by threatening to cheat instead of just doing it. She showed me her true character before I made permanent commitments, before we got married or had kids or bought property together. Sometimes the most honest thing someone can do is tell you exactly who they are. I just wish it hadn't taken me so long to believe her. The rotation I'm starting next week will be my last one before transition to a senior management role that's based permanently in Houston. Better work-life balance, but I've learned enough about myself to know what I need in a partner for that next chapter. Someone who sees sacrifice as investment, not punishment. Someone who measures success in years, not weeks. Someone who understands that the right kind of love makes you stronger individually so you can be stronger together. And someone who would never, under any circumstances, use your career ambitions as leverage for infidelity threats. That seems like a pretty reasonable bar to set. Edit. For anyone dealing with partners who threaten infidelity over career demands, that's not relationship negotiation. That's emotional terrorism. The right person finds solutions, not excuses. Edit 2. The promotion has set me up to transition to permanent Houston-based senior management within a year. Sometimes short-term sacrifice creates long-term options you never imagined.